Hello, JCN here, bringing you something slightly different for the channel, a gameplay video. My intention here is to provide some gameplay footage of games that I like, so this isn't going to be the main emphasis of the channel. It's going to be an occasional thing. I'd bring you some of the games that I like in action, as it were, rather than being edited, and also to free me up to be able to comment on things that come to mind, whether that's to do with gaming or outside gaming or things pertaining to the channel or otherwise. So I'm going to try and keep them down to a reasonable length. I don't want them to be too long. And also, please excuse the sound quality as I'm using a headset mic and not my normal microphone I use for recording. And of course, because it's unscripted, I'm going to be making a lot more pauses, and I might make self-corrections and stumble over the words that I'm going to say as I try and clarify what I want to say. Right. So here we are in one of my favourite games of all time. I've made that very clear in the review. By all means, check that out if you haven't. My review on Fallout 4 on the channel. And as a settlement, I'll show you in a few seconds. The first thing to point out is my character's, quite high level now, and level 57, and sporting some incredible gear. The weapon that she's got is quite possibly the most powerful rifle I've ever come across in the game, and I got it by chance. An awful lot of randomness in terms of drops and loot in the game. It's a radium rifle, and radium rifles are particularly powerful, but this one shoots an additional projectile with no cost to ammunition whatsoever, effectively making a double damage rifle. And it's been modded to its maximum capability, as my skills for weapon crafting and armor crafting are at the highest level you can get in the game, and the armor is the best combat armor that you can get in the game, again crafted up to its highest level, something called polymer combat armor, and many of the armor pieces that she's wearing are special and offer special abilities, such as the chest piece there, which refreshes her action points at a quicker rate. Now, I'm in third person. It's spectacular, this game still looks. Wow, that didn't last. Third person view here. You can play Fallout 4 in first person view, but third person view, but I'm going to switch back to first person perspective, which is the way I like to play it. I'm at this location called Croup Manor, which is all the way over here. If I zoom out, you'll see that I've explored a huge amount already, but this is by all means not all of the places on the map. There's so much crammed in to Fallout 4 that literally you find something around every corner, and my objective here is to clear it out and create a settlement. What I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to an area that I know, in the hunt really for combat armor for my settlers and weapons. So one thing about Fallout 4 is that there are so many side missions and main missions that you can get involved with, side missions and things that you find through people that you encounter along the way, randomly or otherwise, and you could just ignore all of that. And because I've played this game so much, I have retained so much knowledge about where things are in the Commonwealth, which is the fictional place where this all takes place. I know where certain things are that I want, and I'll go out of my way to collect those. Now you'll also see me just collecting all sorts of rubbish along the way, and that I use again for resources to build settlements and also to sell and make money at vendors, so I can buy ammo, principally ammo, but I can also buy more resources for settlement building, so that's really good. Now, I wanted to make a quick comment about Skyrim, which is a game I may get round to reviewing, but probably not for a while yet, because there's so many games I wish to review that are of particular interest to me, but I also think are particularly quite important to review for this generation, and there's just so many, and it's time constraints and all that kind of thing. So Skyrim may be something that appears on the channel, but not for the foreseeable future. The other thing is that Skyrim didn't, although it's beautiful to look at, and there's arguably more popular than Fallout 4. I can't confirm whether that's right or wrong, but certainly a huge franchise for Bethesda. It didn't manage to retain my attention. Initially, yes, but I had problems with it. I didn't particularly like the central premise that you shout at dragons. I didn't like this idea. I know that it's magic and everything, but I just thought it was ridiculous. When I first heard that premise, I thought, that it was a joke, and they were just joking around and just being silly. And then when I found out, actually, no, that is a feature, that you learn things, spells that you shout at dragons. And it didn't really work for me when I played the game either. I just ended up trying to kill dragons with weaponry. In contrast, Dragon Age Inquisition, the way that they dealt with dragons, which initially are formidable opponents that you have no hope in the hell of defeating, was, in my opinion, much better done. And Dragon Age Inquisition, as a more traditional fantasy environment, held my attention far more than Skyrim. So I know Skyrim is very beautiful to look at, but it just didn't. One of the other problems I had with Skyrim was it seemed to take a while to get into it. I know it has quite a good, the intro isn't that long. Things kick off relatively quickly, but from the offset, Fallout 4 had my attention. Just had my attention, and it didn't let up. I think with Skyrim there's that slow cart ride, and right at the beginning, and it's just like, it drags on a bit, and I just didn't get into it anywhere near. And I think another main thing is that Fallout 4 has guns. I think that's a big difference. Lots of different types of guns, crazy guns. It has, nuclear weapon missile launchers called Fat Boys, which is just so ludicrously silly that you'd be insane to try and use one. It's just got lots of things. And overall, the atmosphere, this post-apocalyptic scenario, it draws me in so much more. It just holds my attention so much more. Because there's a more of a horrific element to it, I think, as well. It's just it's taste at the end of the day. It works for me, it works for lots of other people, but it doesn't work for other people. Now, so when I'm coming to this area here, and for a game of this age, 4 years old, builds on software that's over 10 years old, even though that software's been tweaked, it still visually looks very impressive. I mean, look at this. It's raining, and the water looks fantastic. That does look like a sea. It's murky and overcast, just like it would be at the coastal region in this kind of weather. The lighting's great. Of course, the textures, the look of everything is starting to look a bit dated, because it's not as sharp and it's not as detailed as games that have come out recently, more recently this generation. But overall, the atmosphere is still very impressive. The environment is still impressive, and there's, like I said in the review, so much diversity. So that's one thing. So what I'll say after that is the next 2 videos coming to the channel, and it will be in the next week, are a review of Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is another game I have enjoyed immensely, and that'll be coming, and another Ubisoft game, and Far Harbor, the expansion, the first major expansion to Fallout 4. Then there'll be another one, and then after that I will be covering both the expansions to The Witcher 3, and then after that, well, I will take it from there, because there's just so many games to review, and that's exactly what I'm after. Is that bloke was wearing combat armor? That's as much as that as possible from my settlers. More combat armor, and this happens to be a main base of operations for raiders. And my character can basically hoover up everything, because I have many skills and talents that allow me to carry much more than I should be able to. Initially, there's no way you'd be able to carry this amount of things, because you become what's known as over-encumbered. Nice. You wouldn't, first of all, you wouldn't be able to move, and the second thing is you wouldn't be able to go anywhere with the stuff that you'd collected. So, at this stage of the game, I have all the skills required to be able to do that, including fast travelling, so I can travel from one point to the other with everything. So I don't have to leave anything behind. But it does restrict my movement, because I'm not totally impervious to that. I will slow down. There's so much to explore and do in this game. It's fantastic. And so, what else? So yes, those will be coming to the channel. I want to thank... I have 10 subscribers now, which is amazing to me, because I didn't even think I would get one. So thank you very much to all of you who subscribed. The big news is that the new generation consoles is truly on its way. Microsoft will undoubtedly be announcing their new Xbox or console. I don't know what it's going to be called, but I'm sure it's in the Xbox brand. At E3. Sony are not attending E3, and my own personal opinion about that is that Sony and Microsoft are working more closely together now, and I think the objective there is to give Microsoft a little bit of a breathing space to drum up interest for their new console. I think Sony will be have already announced PlayStation 5. They haven't revealed it or anything like that, but they've been giving out information about it, about its hardware, given some previews of the what's called the hardware kit, or the development kit they call it, which is a simulation of what the console will do effectively, and it's looking pretty impressive. So all of that, I would imagine, is coming to autumn or fall, if you're in the States, of 2020, I would imagine, is kind of the time frame we're talking about. Sony themselves probably reveal the console in the spring, I would imagine, of 2020. I think that's kind of the timeline they did with the PlayStation 4, one of their own events. Could be wrong about that, I have no idea. I'm not on the inside of a Sony, and I don't know what they're planning, but whatever it is, I'm looking forward to it, as I will undoubtedly be adopting the PlayStation 5, but I'll also be interested to see what Microsoft have to offer. Next game I am particularly looking forward to in terms of new releases is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I think that's looking very, very good, and what's particularly drawing me to that is that the actor from the Punisher TV series, which I enjoyed both of those series of Marvel's Punisher. I thought they were absolutely fantastic, and I think he's a great it was fantastic in that role. And, you know, we've been very lucky in recent years to have people that are very suited to particular roles, and he was particularly one of them. Really did a good job. He's in it. It looks like he's the bad guy, but just the fact that he's in it is enough for me. So that'll be something that'll be coming in the future. The game's due for release in October. It's stuck here, I don't know where I am. Yeah.
Okay, cut the shit.
And will be reviewed on this channel. Right, and before I embark on the rest of this destructive mission, this wholesale slaughter that I'm going to cause, I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Let me know, by all means, if you want to see more of these type of videos on the channel. If there are any games that you particularly want to have reviewed, then by all means let me know. Thank you again to my subscribers. Thank you for the support. And for now, take care.